Hi, thanks for having us. Damian Smith here from Campion Insurance. Delighted to be part of this seminar. Today I'm going to talk about some of the cyber risks and cyber crime that are presented or facing these in businesses. I'm going to run through some of these headlines around these topics, some cyber crime statistics, examples of phishing, social engineering, example claims that are out on cities, some myths surrounding cyber, and basic risk management approaches that we take. So not too far just looking at 2020 to see some of the news headlines that business with some of the risks and cyber risks that are out there. So we have a council in the UK that had 10.4 million cost because of Red Car cyber attack. NUI Galway had a data protection breach. Translink IT, who operate the Lewis systems, had a ransomware attack. And Kerry, business firm in Kerry, who had €88,000 done through a cyber crime piece on it. And there's loads more if we go looking for them throughout the piece on it. So some of the cyber statistics there: 41% of Irish businesses surveyed suffered a cyber incident or breach. So that's a huge proportion of attacks that are happening out there on a daily basis. The median cost of a cyber incident or breach is €105,000. The single largest breach in Ireland cost the company approximately 4.5 million, and that was in relation to a huge personal data breach of personal information. 6% of the businesses surveyed paid a ransom in order to release their systems and get back to an operational point of view. One worrying statistic on it was 64% of Irish businesses are not prepared for a cyber incident. So should they incur a cyber attack or a cyber ransomware, they're not prepared for it. And only 38% of Irish businesses surveyed have a cyber insurance policy in force. So we look at phishing, people talk about it, and I suppose, what is it? There's three primary forms of phishing in there. So you click only, and this will prompt you to click on a URL to a website, and that'll ask you for the credentials or to download malware. You have credential phishing then, which will prompt you to enter usernames or logons under a pretext of entering a genuine website. And then finally, attachments prompt you to download an infected file or a URL onto your system. Usually they come in the form of a PDF document which embeds the URL into the system, and it clicks the link to either get your credentials again or download further malicious files. One of the most common ones and more difficult to protect against is social engineering or CEO fraud. So unlike the previous examples, it doesn't have any of the three elements of it. So, but the cyber criminal is looking for you to interact with them on it. This type of email is very difficult to stop through any systems or gateway protections, because there's no tactics or indicators that can be specific enough to block. So there's usually no URL to click or attachment to open. If we look at it there, it's estimated, the FBI estimated that $3.5 billion was lost in social engineering CEO fraud in 2019. And what they're really trying to do here is to impersonate a legitimate person within the organization. So a director, a manager, CEO, CFO on that, and redirect funds to their own piece on it. Social engineering scams are difficult to detect and stop by perimeter security, even as we discussed earlier. And social engineering emails typically carry sense of urgency, so it must be done today, it must be done the next hour. If you want your account not to be frozen, if you want the goods to be delivered, it pushes through. 88.1% of social engineering attacks were found in environments where there was a perimeter security. So it's a real issue there for businesses. Sorry, now I'll just get my clicker to work and move us on. So how to avoid social engineering frauds. So no matter who sends an email or why, never initiate a wire transfer outside the company policy without confirmation. Reach out to the sender via telephone to confirm, or alert another person within your organisation that such a request has come in and ask for a second piece on it. Check to see if the reapply address is the same address as the sender's email. So sometimes it can be disguised in the initial email that comes in, but when you go to reply to that on it, it can show a different format on it. And if you cannot confirm the request, wait until you can do so and don't transfer the information. It's really that you have really secure procedures and follow that through, and staff awareness in particular is an important piece. So some of the ransom and malware claims examples we've seen, and these are genuine ones from insurance companies. Denial of service attack from an unknown source caused a 22-hour stoppage to a company's website and a continued lack of service for an additional 4 days. And the claim in that was paid out was $601. A data center which hosted an online retail company's website became a target of a distributed denial of service attack. The attack flooded the data center's network with so much traffic that their network failed. This made the online retail company's website inaccessible, and again there was a claim of $144,000 and paid out in that. A technology company noticed that a piece of malware had been installed on one of their servers. IT forensic firm to investigate what the malware was doing and how it had been installed, and that cost came to $70,000. And finally, a ransomware attack encrypted a restaurant's entire server, impacting the point of sale registers, and that was a €15,000 claim. What that kind of gives you an example of, it's not industry specific or size specific of a company, that this affects everyone across the way, and if you're not prepared on it, the cost can be quite severe on it. So data breach claims examples, which are very much related to GDPR and the protection of data. So a hotel chain was notified of Visa by a potential credit card breach. Forensic investigation identified 315,000 credit cards were impacted, and a claim of $80 million was paid out. An ex-employee hacked into a computer system, so they still had the remote logon piece, it hadn't been shut off. Data restoration and recreation required for the information that they had deleted or encrypted from there, and a claim of nearly €22,000. An accountant's laptop was stolen containing 800 customers' tax records. The cost to replace the laptop, notify the clients and investigate the loss was $35,000. And a charity engaged in a third-party supplier for assistance in marketing their organisation and gathering donor information. The third party, so not the charities systems, but the third-party supplier system was breached, and data had been lost, and a claim of $5,900 was paid on that. And I suppose what that illustrates is you can't contract out your liability in these regards. So because the third party was acting on your behalf, you have the same responsibility for it. So you need to be active in protecting yourself there and ensuring that your third party vendors have the required security as well. So media claims or media liability claims. An employee for a consultancy company sent out an internal email containing negative comments regarding a service provider. And like everything in social media, the email was forwarded to others within the organisation and was eventually sent externally. The email was seen by the service provider, and a defamation lawsuit was brought against the consultancy company for harming the service provider's reputation, and a claim of €181,000 was paid out in that. And so that puts in real context of whatever you're physically putting down on an email, be conscious that information at some stage may be opened by others or accessible to others on it, and don't put anything down that you aren't confident in over the later. just trying to reconnect my clicker. 1 second. We can just move on. There we go. So social engineering claims, as I said, these are quite common and probably the most difficult to protect against. So a food processor, about 20 employees, received an email from a supplier advising of a change of bank account. Payment of invoices due were made to the new bank account, and the company lost €156,000. One that was very publicly reported on was Meath County Council, where they transferred 4.3 million to a Hong Kong bank account owned by a cyber criminal. The phishing email installed malware and stole employee login details. The attacker, which is typical here, took a watch and wait approach and waited until a large payment was due for processing. At the very last minute, they'll block the emails from the bona fide supplier and impersonate them while sending their own bank account details to the victim. And Dublin Zoo lost more than $500,000 when fraudsters intercepted emails between the zoo and the supplier. As I said, the door was open for the attackers, and when an employee opened up a phishing email inadvertently, it downloaded credential-stealing malware to their PC. And using malware, attackers were able to gain access to the email account of the employees. Again, what they do here is they may say days and even months in some instances, and if there's a pattern of transfers or payments to and from, and they'll wait and see what their opportunity is at that stage to intercept. So now we're just going to cover some of the cyber myths that I get told a lot of the time and people believe in their own side. So I'm an SME, wouldn't be worth anyone's while to attack my business. So what we generally say that as cybercrime is increasing. And generally speaking, SMEs have fewer processes and are particularly vulnerable to human error. We're seeing that cybercriminals are looking for more low value and high frequency attacks. So SMEs are perfect for that piece, and they're deliberately attacking SMEs. If a data loss involves sensitive customer information, such as names, addresses, banking information, or other confidential records, the impact could be very severe. So yes, it is for SMEs. The second myth, but for my business doesn't hold customer data, names, addresses, or banking information. I get this very difficult to understand, but simple questions. Are you reliant on computer systems and or email and the internet to conduct your business? Do you have a website that's a shop front, a sales support desk for your customers? Is that where you want customers to, or how customers are directed to your business? Do you operate a payment card industry merchant service agreement? And do you use social media? If you answer yes to any of the above, a cyber attack could paralyze your business. Third myth, but we back up on the cloud and our systems and data are secure. Unfortunately, when it comes to data, there's no such thing as completely secure. Yes, you can take out all the procedures and protections that's possible, but it's never 100% secure. And while a loss of data by a cloud provider wouldn't be a business's fault, it could still have a huge impact on your reputation and earnings. I have cover under my existing policies. So I have a general insurance policy with public liability or employer's liability, and I have property and fire insurance. Practically all existing insurance policies do not cover the full range of cyber myths. You can come across from time to time, they'll give what they call a low level of cyber cover, but it's really an add-on that's just there. It doesn't give proper cover on it. Without cyber insurance, your business is vulnerable to a spectrum of threats. So viruses and malicious software associated with attackers and petty criminals, acts of careless employees, and random cyber attacks. But cyber cover is another insurance cost. And I appreciate that, and our business is always talking to customers and understanding their risk profile. So we will put out all the various risk scenarios to a customer. We'll talk through what the cost, benefits and negatives are of each one. And by not taking out cyber cover, it could be more costly for your business. So for example, if a business has 100,000 customer records and they're compromised, it'll probably be required to write a letter to each of them to report this. And again, a letter is needed because the worst thing you can do is send an email where client's data is already compromised. At €1.10 for a stamp, that's 110,000 gone before the business even starts to look at legal costs. When all the costs are tally up, PwC puts the average cost per record at €110. So, as I said, it can be very costly not to have a cyber policy there in place. So some of the risk measures, it's a simple risk checklist that we would put in place that we talk through. So data breaches, they're not just a big business problem, they're for everyone. Cybersecurity, again, it's not an IT issue. This is the entire business, and all levels of the business should be aware of the risk and exposure around cyber. Complex and regularly updated passwords are harder to hack or crack even. Good antivirus software and spam filters should be installed. Data encryption and security access measures are required. Monitoring software should also be considered for reporting any breaches within the timeframe set out by GDPR. Systems should always be backed up regularly. And one of the most important pieces that any business can do is educate your staff. So the majority of hacking attempts do come through email, and good staff education on how to deal with these situations is very important and can prevent any disasters happening. So by your staff being aware of what the threats are and what some of the key triggers are to look out for can be a huge benefit to stopping something, and just taking that split second to think and stop before they click on a link or enter their password details into something. Is this genuine, and should I be doing it? So I'd like to thank you for your time here today. It's been, again, a great opportunity on it. If anyone wants to discuss their business requirements, happy to drop me an email at dsmith@campion.com or call me on my mobile. What we'll do is we'll sit down, we'll look at your business, we'll put a range of options to you there, and then we can decide what's the best fit for your company. Again, thank you very much for your time.